To perform a front squat, you should be pretty good at goblet squatting. This will be a little bit more difficult though because the weight will not be concentrated in one spot. Instead, it will be spread out. Whenever you set up your rack, make sure that you have your hooks set up at about mid-shoulder level. That way you can easily get the bar up, off of, and back on the hooks. Also set up your rack so that your safety racks are as low as they can possibly be. So if you have no restrictions and you can squat as low as possible, you can always put the rack pretty low. If you have a limited range of motion and you need to stop squatting a little bit sooner, maybe put the safety rack up a little bit higher. Whenever you go to front squat, you'll want to hold the bar just under the clavicle on the top part of the chest, but also on the front part of the shoulders. That can be a little bit much for people if they're not used to having that kind of pressure. So if you need to use either a squat sponge or some kind of a pad or even wrapping a towel around the bar, all of those things will help take some of the pressure off. When you set yourself up, go underneath the bar, but if you can't handle arching your hands back so that you're holding in a clean position, you can always wrap your arms across so that you're holding the bar in a cross arm position, which works just as well. Just make sure that your elbows are always pressing forward. So you never want your elbows to drop, never want your elbows to drop. Instead, they're actively pressing away from you in order to keep the bar in place. Keep your back arched and nice and tight. Walk yourself away from the hooks, but remember you're trying to stay within the range of the safety rack if possible, if yours is long enough. Make sure that your feet are set at whichever width we've specified for you. So if you just need a comfortable position, just wider than shoulder width is fine. A little wider will be different than narrow. From there, you'll hinge yourself backwards, squat down, and come back up. Keeping the knees held behind the toes by pressing the weight back. So you should feel as though all the weight stays on your glutes and on your heels. Remembering to breathe each time and bracing the stomach a little bit as well. Try to not hold your breath or perform the Valsalva maneuver. Instead, you'll want to continuously breathe through the whole range of motion. And then as you finish, you'll walk the weight back forward, place it back on the rack, and don't be lazy.